feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Brian Giles with Brian Giles MTG. And we're back with more Modern Horizons 3 spoilers. So, hoo-haw. Starting off, we have retrofitted Transmogrant. So, a single black mana for a 1/1 artifact creature zombie. You can pay a black and 3 and return retrofitted Transmogrant from the graveyard to the battlefield, tapped with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Hoo-haw. We have Muster the Departed. So, a white and 2 for an enchantment that reads, Muster the Departed enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. It has Morbid at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, populate. So, hoo-haw. Except we have Solstice Zealot, a white and 2 for a 2/3 Rhino Cleric. Enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. You tap it and pay an energy to tap target creature. We have Wing It. So white and 1 for an instant that reads, target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Put a flying counter on it and scry 1. Gets a temporary 2/2 and a permanent flying counter, and you get to scry. For 2 mana, decent value. Hoo-haw. We have Envoy of the Ancestors, a white, and 2 for a 2/3 human cleric with Outlast. This means pay Outlast for a white, pay a white, tap, and put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Outlast only is a sorcery. Modified creatures you control have lifelink. Okay, so more +1/+1 counters and lifelink stuff. We have Jolted Awake for a white mana. You get sorcery. Choose up to 1 target artifact or creature in your graveyard. You get 2 energy counters, and you may pay amount of energy equal to that card's mana value. If you do, return from the graveyard to the battlefield. Cycle it for 2. So this will automatically bring back, some weenie creatures, but if you're playing again with that white card that can give you a ton of energy, this thing could do all sorts of bad stuff. Next up, we have Unfathomable Truths. So a blue and 4 for an instant that has the void. Draw 3 cards and create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token. Will sacrifice this creature to add a colorless. Okay, yeah, it's a beefy 5, but you get 3 cards and a Eldrazi spawn token. It's not bad, but it's not the best. Then we have Refurbished Familiar. Now, this is an interesting card for your rat decks. Yeah, it's kind of beefy to start off with for a black and 3 for a 2/1 artifact creature zombie rat. But it has affinity for artifacts, which means you can cast it for 1 less for each artifact you control. It has flying. When Refurbished Familiar enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. So this thing is entirely versatile in all sorts of different builds. You could put it in a zombie build, a rat build, an artifact creature build, or a discard build. This thing is cool all the way around. And if you're playing with a few artifacts, you can reduce this casting cost down to a single black mana. I'm not... this thing, it seems like it's harsh to start off with, but when you really look deeper into it, it's really, really cool. Hoo-haw! Next up, we have Breathe Your Last. So, this card I like. This removal card is just crazy. 2 black and 1 for an instant that reads, destroy target creature or planeswalker. You gain 1 life for each of its colors. Playing against multicolor opponents, I mean, it has the same casting cost as your cheap removal, and it targets both creatures and planeswalkers for something that's akin to murder. But you gain 1 life. I mean, even if it's just a single color, you gain a life, which makes it better than murder. But if you're removing multicolor creatures, you can gain up to 5 life. If you're removing something like Joda or something just big and nasty. So this card, this is going to be the common card to look out for. This thing is going places. This is going to be the next big removal card. This is going to be in demand. Hoo-haw! Then we have Angel of the Ruins. So it's a beefy 2 white and 5 for a 5/7 artifact creature, Angel. When it enters the battlefield, exiles up to 2 artifacts and or enchantments. And it plane cycles for 2. So you can use it to plane cycle, but if it's later on in the game, you can take out 2 artifacts and or enchantments. It's okay. That's kind of specific there, but we'll see how this plays out. Next up, we have Rose-Caught Knight, a beefy white and 4 for a 3/4 human knight. When it enters the battlefield with the top 6 cards of your library, you may reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them, put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, put a +1/+1 counter on Rose-Caught Knight. So this guy is designed to be in your modified build. Then we have Proud Pack Rhino. A white and 2 for a 3/3 Rhino. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Put a shield counter, target permanent, or proliferate. Okay. And you don't see proliferate on white much unless they're like Phyrexians. So that's kind of cool. It's a 3/3 for 3, and you can put a shield counter on something or proliferate. He's not bad. And you can do stuff like blink him. Okay, next up is Aetherspike, a blue and 1. For an instant that reads, choose target spell. You get 2 energy counters. Then you may pay any amount of energy, counter that spell, unless its controller pays one generic for each energy paid this way. So again, because of energy being so big, you get an energy-based counterspell. Next up, we have Airy Auxiliary. So a white and 3 for a 3/3 bird soldier with flying. Enters the battlefield, support 2, which means you can put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. Again, more chaff for your your modified build. We have Distinguished Conjurer, which is a white and 1 for a 1/2 human wizard. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain a life. And pay a white and 4 and tap it to exile target creature you control and return it to the battlefield. So for 5 mana, you get a blink effect. Okay, I can be down with this guy. Next up, we have Indebted Spirit. So a white mana for a 1/1 spirit with bestow for a white and 2. It has Afterlife 1. When this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has Afterlife 1. So a little sack outlet, and you can create a token for when it's attached to a creature. So Inspired Inventor is a white and 2 for a 2/2 human artificer. But you can choose one. You can get 3 energy counters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So he's designed to be kind of like a versatile card that you can put in various different builds. So hoo-ha. So Electrozoa is a blue and 2 for a 3/1 jellyfish with flying. Here's the battlefield. You get 2 energy counters. Getting to your pre-combat main phase, tap Electrozoa unless you pay an energy. Not always what you want to see, but it has flash, so you can flash it in, and you can use it a couple times afterwards. Next up, we have Hope Ender Quaddle. So a blue and 2 for a 2/2 Eldrazi Snake. It has Devoid and Flash. When you cast the spell, counter target Spell opponent controls unless they pay a colorless and has flying. So this is a counter spell on a body. Yeah, it's a little beefy for a counter spell out of blue and 2, but you get the body as well. So you get a 2/2 devoid with flash. It has flying and it's a counter spell. So hoo-haw. Then we have Sage of the Unknowable for a blue and 1. You get a 0/4 human wizard, tap it to add a colorless. Spend this mana only to cast a colorless spell or activate an ability. Okay. Decent little low level blocker that you use for colorless stuff. We have Shrieking Drake, which is blue mana for a 1/1 Drake with flying. Enters the battlefield, turn a creature you control to its owner's hand. So you got to bounce the creature back. Okay. But if you're using, creatures with ETB effects, this thing could be useful. Next up, we have a Cursed Marauder. So a black and 1 for a 2/1 zombie warrior. Cursed Marauder enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a non-token creature. So, your Reanimator, Recursion decks will like this. Get your opponents to sacrifice creatures. Whoops. E. Accidental double tap. Next up, we have Arcbound Condor. So 2 black and 2 for a 0/0 bird with flying and modular 3. So it comes into the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters on it. And when it dies, you put the +1/+1 counters on target artifact creature. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, target creature and opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So this fits into that that +1/+1 counter Golgari build. So hoo-haw. You got Dream Drinker Vampire. Black and 1 for a 2/1 vampire with lifelink, and adapt 1 for a black and a 1. So whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Dream Drinker Vampire, it gains menace till end of turn. Okay. Again, more cards for that Golgari +1/+1 counter build. And it's got some pretty powerful stuff on it. You put some +1/+1 counters on it, and it gets some Minachi action. So hoo-haw. Then we have Fetid Gargantua for a black and 4. You get a 4/4 horror with adapt 2 for a black and 2. And whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Fetid Gargantua, you draw 2 cards. If you do, you lose 2 life. You may draw 2 cards. So it's a choice. But you get some card draw, more counters for your Golgari deck. We have a nice reprint in Nadier's Nightblade. For a black and 2, you get a 1/3 elf warrior. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And then we're gonna have a lot of tokens, so this might slot into your your Eldrazi deck, or definitely any deck you're playing tokens with, especially if you're using tokens as sack outlets. Next up, we have Wither and Bloom, some more RKF, Richard Kane Ferguson artwork. So, black and 1 for instant that reads, target creature gets -3/-3 till end of turn. Pay a black and 1 exile Wither and Bloom from your graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. So it's removal, and when it's in the graveyard, you get +1/+1 counters for your Golgari build. Hoo-ha! So last card for this video is Fanged Flames. Stupid ad. So a red and 1 for a sorcery with the void. It deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. Not bad. 2 mana for a 4 damage to creature or planeswalker, and you exile it. If it dies, dun da da da. Goodbye. Well, I'm going to end it here because we're over 22 minutes. We'll see you on the next video.